Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Loretta McNary Show. So, my conversation for this guest, and we're still celebrating Women's History Month, right? Because we have phenomenal women all over the country and beyond. So, we're going to talk about what it takes to build something that lasts. Yes, things that last, businesses that last, relationships that last. So, joining me is Anita Black. She's a business strategist with more than 3 decades, and you're gonna think she started at 10, right? 3 decades of experience across financial services, business development, technology, and innovation. Everybody, welcome Anita Black to the Loretta McNary Show. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for being my guest today as we celebrate and spotlight incredible women making history today. And you are one of those women.
Wow, thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Yes. And we have been friends so many years. I don't even know how long, but take us back to the beginning. What first sparked your interest in business and building, helping other entrepreneurs and small business owners?
I don't know, way back when I started in banking and I worked with a lot of folks starting a business or growing a business. Of course, Memphis is known for entrepreneurship. I think I can still remember the account number, the first deposit account number for AutoZone when they formed that company. And that was just, a family owned business where they spun off from an existing business and started doing their own thing. And so I liked it. I liked working with people like that. It's exciting working with entrepreneurs and particularly women who are following their dream.
Absolutely. So growing up, did you always see yourself as someone who would lead and create at the level that you currently are living? Because it's a high level, and I know you're very modest and humble. But honey, you've been doing this 30 years, and your level of accomplishment is something for us to say salute and kudos to. Did you always know this as a child, as a teenager, that you wanted to be a business owner?
I really don't think I did. I remember wanting to be a nurse. My dad was a doctor, and I made rounds with him sometimes on Sundays before we went to church. And then I worked in his office. So I did kind of get a taste of running a business as a doctor. My mom worked in his office when we were growing up, and I learned, how to, bill people for services that my dad, like, he was one of those where he would do an appendectomy or write a prescription for a cold. He did pretty much everything. He was a general practitioner for many years. And so I didn't really think about running my own business until later, after I had worked for the bank for a number of years and saw how people kind of did it. I mean, I attended board meetings and I saw what they did and how they formed their companies. And so that was exciting to me.
Wow. Okay. So I want to talk about when I know I met you at networking events, may have been a NABO. We'll talk about NABO too. And that's such a great resource and a membership kind of organization. But you had started this, I call it a restaurant over by the University of Memphis called Moe's. I remember the name, and this was, you can tell me how many years ago, but you had live music. You had the most amazing hamburger I've ever had in my life. Even to this day, I remember that hamburger that you had. So tell me, because you've always been in finances and at a high level, booking out the whole thing. And then you do a restaurant. Tell me about that inspiration.
So yeah, it was called Moe's Coffee Shop, and Moe stood for Memphis Originals. I was into music really all of my life and started getting to know a lot of local musicians. And then one thing led to another. I had left my banking career and I wanted to start my own business. And NABA was partly responsible for that, which we can talk about that later. But so I opened a coffee shop over there next to Brother Juniper's, and then we started having live music pretty much every night of the week and just incredible music. And then We started out with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I can tell you a lot of things really not to do in a startup, in a coffee shop in particular. But we expanded our menu, and we did serve burgers. We had a great cook and several folks that were helping us make coffee drinks. We had a great coffee drink called the Avalanche, and it
Mm-hmm.
was the frozen coffee espresso. People always said, if you just started this in San Francisco, it was funky. It was pretty fun. It's probably too funky for Memphis at the time, but if we had been in San Francisco, boy, we would have had fun. So we still had fun here in Memphis. We had it. If I had a gazillion dollars, I'd do it again. That's for
Oh,
sure.
wow. I think you should. You were so far ahead of the time. Anita, you were that was what, 20 years ago? Was it 10, 15? What was it?
It was 2000. We were open from 2003 to 2008. So 5 years there. So 20 something years ago, 22 years ago is when we.
When I say she knows business and longevity. So what is something about your journey that people will be surprised to learn?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, this is the getting to know my guest phase of it. Then we start talking about the business because people want to know you and trust you first.
Well, I do like new things, and some people, I guess, maybe feel like I'm a numbers person and pretty conservative, but I do like to dream and anticipate what's coming down the pike. What's going to happen next, and try to, okay, what am I going to do to be prepared for tomorrow or next month or next year or in 10 years. And that's kind of leads into the discussion about drones, and how 3 or 4 years ago I really got hot to go on the drone technology and started doing research, and wow. And that's still developing, but it is such an exciting technology. I don't want to be old and be left behind with not knowing as much as I can, but also be able to handle that knowledge as I move forward. So
Because I definitely want us to talk about how you got into the drone space and how exciting that is when I hear you talk about it and your face lights up. But one thing I thought you were going to say is was it your uncle? Your uncle was in World War I, and your family helped supported somebody that did a whole documentary movie about it. And so when I say she has layers and she's been just puts her fingerprint on everything and it all turns to gold. So you want to talk about that too? Because I was not that I thought it wouldn't be great, but it was super, super well done and amazing and informative.
Thank you for coming to our show over at the Malco there at Forest Hill Cinema. Yeah, it was my uncle. It was a documentary that my brother did primarily, but he invited. Well, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and he was my oldest. He was the oldest brother. And so this was his idea. He and my sister and I went to Germany and did a bunch of research, and then he did a lot more research. But it was my uncle who flew in World War, was it World War II? Anyway, he got shot. His plane got shot down over Germany, like the day before he was headed home. And funny you should mention that, because my brother has been connecting with different people. He connected with somebody at the University of Memphis, then Memphis State, where my uncle got drafted and left to go into the service, and then of course never came home. But they're going to honor him with a posthumous degree in April the 27th. At the graduation ceremony, they're going to honor my uncle and give him his bachelor's degree, and as a veteran. And I mean, it's awesome. It's just,
It was.
Yeah.
It was an incredible experience being your friend and seeing, because we didn't even talk about it when you were, it's like was it a secret, or we had just not talked a lot about it, but it was so well done. I wanted you all to enter it in documentary and film festivals all over the country, just so people could see that work that you all did, and that being your first documentary. So you built the career over multiple industries. And so what has guided your decision along the way? Because finances, being a small business owner, being the president of NABO, the drone, the restaurant. Am I missing something? What's your inspiration? And was it a pivot, or was it something you said, I have capacity for this. Let's try this.
Mm-hmm. I think it really goes back to math. I mean, most of the time it's a math problem. So I was always good in math when I was growing up in high school, and then in college. I was good at statistics, algebra. I really loved math. And a lot of the problem solving comes back to, okay, how does this add up or take away? The analysis of the numbers, whether it's drone technology and how you're going to make money at that. And, what are your costs? What are your revenue, your cost of goods sold, even, any business. A lot of business owners want to just do their thing, and they don't want to talk about numbers, and they have enough money to get started and figure, oh, I can make this work. But then the financial plan sometimes falls apart, or there's not a good plan, and then they get stuck, without enough money to pursue their dreams. So that's unfortunate in a lot of cases. So I try to help people think about the money side and how they're going to sustain their lifestyle and their dream, or sell or merge later. I mean, you can have huge dreams financially, or just, hey, I just want a little business that makes me happy, where I can pay the bills and take care of my customers. And so everybody's different.
And that leads me straight into my next question. So with your background in financial services, what is the one financial principle that every entrepreneur should understand early?
I think cash flow is a big element in that. I mean, you can forecast all you want to, and budget and plan for and accrue for, and have all the intellectual property. But if you don't have cash coming in, and then cash going out, and managing that bottom line, it gets real tricky. And it's always tricky anyway, whether you got $1 or $1 million, is you just add a few zeros to the end, but the principles are the same: cash in and cash out, and how much you got left over, and how much is left for you. If you're paying everybody in the business or everybody else and not paying yourself, then that's probably not sustainable, unless you have some generational wealth that can just carry you through and you really don't care about money. So
that would be a sweet spot, especially starting out. That's good. So we've talked about the restaurant. We've talked about your financial savviness, because she is a genius when it comes to those finances. I promise. She had me doing a forecast, and she said, well, how much money do you want to make at the end of the year? Okay, then this is how many ads you got to sell. This is how many sponsors. She was so detailed. It blew me away. I don't think we had another meeting about money after that, because I was not ready for that conversation. This was so early on in the show. And yet here I am.
Yes, you've done very well, and here you are. You had that in your head and in your sights, and you went for it. And boy, you've done really well. Congratulations! It's very rewarding.
We are spotlighting the Anita Black, so let's do that. Okay, so how did you get into the drone technology as a business owner and as a finance person? How did that happen? And a restaurateur. So how did this drone thing happen?
Well, the way the drone thing happened, I ran into a guy, and we started talking, and he was into drones, and he started telling me how it was so much fun to fly, and this is the wave of the future, and there's going to be so much stuff that you can do with drones. And really, a drone is just a flying robot. It's nothing to be afraid of. but the uses of the drones have just expanded and continually expand. And then the technology, like the airspace and the regs, where you fly and how you fly and what do you do with the drone while you're up there and who do you report to. I mean, it was just a lot of the more research I did, the more excited I got. Now he knew it innately in his head, and I'm steadily researching online and reading books. And I have flown a drone a few times. His was more of a mechanical comfort level of the drone versus me. Okay, how can we make money at this, and who's going to use the drone to be more efficient, save time, save money, and their workers. The biggest thing at that point was workforce development. So he was a workforce development guy, worked for the state of Tennessee. But I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all these kids, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, having fun flying a drone and making money at that, making money as a drone pilot. Oh my gosh, how incredibly satisfying that would be. So that was really how we got started. And then it just, we tried a few things, again, we were kind of ahead of our time.
Very much.
So like the state of Tennessee with the regs that they have, even today, they're way behind some other states and even other countries in terms of what's allowed and the practical usage of the drone. So, but you just have to adjust and go from there. It's coming though. It's
definitely coming. I had no idea that you could actually, you have to have a pilot's license to fly a drone. I guess it's so many feet and so much of the airspace, and it's a thing, you all. But I want you to do some research and definitely reach out to Anita for that. But I want to ask you, because you're the past president of NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, a huge organization. What have you learned about supporting and advancing women in business at a high level? Not so much as somebody just getting started or still playing, I wish I could, I wish I would, kind of, go ahead and launch, go ahead and leap and start the business. You don't have to go full-fledged. Don't think about your end results. Just think about getting your business license, know what licenses you need for the kind of business you have. But what did that teach you being the past president?
Well, I think the most women, the most successful women that I've gotten to know, they're not afraid. They have no fear. And the more they have on their plate, the more successful they are, as opposed to being afraid of afraid of growth. The fear of growth is stifling. But those women who have really taken their businesses to the next level, they are 24/7. I mean, spinning 500 plates at a time, and they thrive. They thrive on that. So not everyone. That's not not everyone operates that way, but the folks that have moved the needle financially, at least. It's just amazing how much they take on, and they handle it. They do it well. So
yes, and they say if you want anything done, ask a busy person, and I say ask a busy woman, because she knows how to balance it and keep all the plates in the air at one time. And it's not like, but we do have to know when to say when and when to say no, right? Even high achievers, people who are making a ton of money, they have to say no to some things, and that's value in knowing when to say no. Okay, so this has been good. Also, don't you play the piano for your church or something, or used to? Because you do so many things.
I used to. That was my first job. I was a junior in high school, and they called me. My music teacher referred me to a church that was looking for a church pianist, and I ended up playing the organ and the piano. While basically, I started when I was a junior in high school. I continued to play a musical instrument, either the piano or the organ. For a number of years, for a long time. It became it was my high school job, my first job, and then it ended up being a side job while I was doing banking during the week, and then the music scene on Wednesday night and Sundays. I've my fingers are not as nimble as say, you got to practice. You really, but I will tell you, I tell anybody that playing the piano uses every, sense of sound, everything except, I guess, sense of taste. So your rhythms, your hands, the physical movement of your hands, you use your feet, playing the organ, and then the sound. So you're using your ears. So it's pretty much every sense of the word that you use. That's good for coordination of as you grow older. So.
Yeah, and it's good brain work too. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insight. Your journey is such a powerful example of what it means to build with intention and to lead both as a visionary and as a disciplined person, because you got to have discipline. I'm telling you, you got to, because you may feel like you can do a million things really, really well, but if you're not disciplined, then something's going to suffer. And to our viewers, what you build today, please know, has the power to shape all of your tomorrows and those of other people. So I want to say thank you so much for watching the Loretta McNary Show. Think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.